Welcome everybody, I'm Jason.
I'm Becky.
And we're a pair of geeks within the stream. Another Ask a Double DM stream. That means that you can basically ask whatever question you want about role-playing, miniatures, gaming, whatever, and we've got some pretty cool topics for you this week.
Yes, we're going to talk about Undead. Hello Medusa, nice timing.
That is not an undead.
We're going to talk about using Undead in your campaigns. And what has inspired this topic, I wonder?
Some random TV series, quite obscure.
Yeah, we've been watching it now for many years, and it just keeps going,
Well,
and going and going.
Until now.
It's about to end. We're of course talking about Game of Thrones and The Long Night, Episode 3. Can I just get this out there now?
Yep.
Whoa! Seriously good entertainment value, that episode. So we're going to talk about that. So spoilers. If you haven't watched episode 3 and you are into Game of Thrones, then
what the hell?
I guess you were on holiday or something. Catch up, then come back and watch this stream later, because we're going to ruin it for you otherwise. And it is, I would say, as TV shows go, that episode was right up there as one of the best all-time episodes in broadcast television for entertainment value.
Yeah, I think maybe people forget sometimes that it is actually television, and they almost like treat it like a movie.
Yeah, although having said all that, which side's strategy shall I rip to pieces first?
Yeah, we didn't think it was perfect by any means, especially this one, because she loves her tactics and her sword fighting, and kind of like when I see a load of people playing medieval instruments and I just tear that apart, or they're not even playing them, like, she does that with swords and fighting and anything of that nature.
Well, let's start with the dead, because like lots of people have mentioned, I don't think you need to be a military genius to see the cavalry charge was of course insane, and we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
But the dead, what were they playing at?
Which dead are you referring to?
The Army of the Dead.
Yeah, I know, but as in, do you mean the whole thing, or do you mean...
Yes, their strategy.
Well, yeah,
Let's do a headlong charge at a castle. Can't possibly go wrong.
Yeah, run forward in a massive...
Spoilers, it went wrong.
For a while.
No, for the dead.
No, for a while it went wrong.
Not really.
Well, it did, because...
First act of the episode was the suspense, then the horror,
yes.
then the action thing, and at no point were the living winning.
Yes, but you were
Mostly
saying that...
because of terrible strategy.
Yes, but you were saying that the dead had terrible strategy.
Yes, they did.
But then there came that pause with the fire
The
and
mistake
trenches
was
and
made
stuff.
before the opening salvo. You've got 100,000 undead. Why are you fighting? Surround them, besiege them. You don't need food. They could have taken that castle without an undead life lost.
Yeah, but then that would have been boring.
Well, yes.
Like, the whole point for entertainment value, I guess, and sort of motive is that the dead are completely expendable. Like, if the Night King wants the dead to fall into flames for more dead to trample over them, then it's like, yeah, whatever.
I accept. Like, you know, from a storytelling perspective, for entertainment, it was great. But I'm talking about the strategy. The Night King deserved to die, because he could have taken that castle without losing a single soldier.
Well,
So he's an idiot.
maybe you should have a word with the children of the forest.
Which kind of brings me on to something I want to talk about with Undead in your campaign. So you see, for all the things that where Game of Thrones is very good in its storytelling, and it was a fantastic episode, you know, I loved that whole 3-act structure they did, and it was very entertaining. But there's a lot of things about the Night King I think they misused.
Or just flat out missed out.
Like, we know who he is, he's one of the first men, right? But he's not anyone significant in the world.
No.
You know, he could have been Bran, he could have been a Targaryen, because, you know, he's ridden a dragon. No,
That
he's
was
just,
a theory, yeah.
he's just one of the first men, just a random guy from the first men. So, missed opportunity there. Right, the sigil, He took the sacred symbol of the children of the forest and used it in a blasphemous way. So, it was such a big deal for the last 9 years. Couldn't they have made more of that? Couldn't it have been that he was heading to some sacred grove to undo some injustice that was done against him?
Yeah.
And here's my other big problem. You know, the Night King was coming because it was expedient for the story.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been in the North 10,000 years. What was he doing? Cleaning his toenails?
Probably.
If like the explanation they've given is that the Night King is death. He just wants to, you know, destroy the living. He is death, you know, and stuff. So why was he okay with the living for 10,000 years? So if I'm going to do something like that in my campaign, these kind of questions for a major bad guy, I want to solve. I want to close those plot holes.
Okay.
Now let's talk about the Army of the Living and their strategy.
So, cavalry.
Headlong frontal assault into an unsighted enemy. They might have had pikes. That's not how you use cavalry, but cavalry, frankly, not terribly useful against that kind of enemy anyway. Like, most of the point of cavalry is the shock value. It's about breaking up infantry formation. Well, that's a psychological effect. The undead don't have psychology, so cavalry against undead, you may as well not run the risk of having a horse.
No, I think they would have been way more useful when they had to pull back into Winterfell.
Why not dismount? Like in a battle against the undead.
Yeah, the whole point is they're supposedly like really good on horseback, doing all these like standing on it and doing this all shit like the Mongolians, but fighting on the ground is not as good.
Even the Mongolians had the sense to ride around in circles firing arrows.
Yeah, it's true.
You
Not
know,
just use the
just ride around
sickles.
out of reach
Yeah.
and shoot. The artillery, I think that was obvious to a lot of people as well.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it's only like 2 meters in front of me, but I'm going to keep charging.
No, well, why was the artillery in front of the Unsullied? Why was the artillery not inside Winterfell? And if there wasn't room in Winterfell, why was it not the rear line at the very least?
I don't know, but I was talking about projectiles more than anything, you know, going so close to the Unsullied, not Unsullied, Dothraki as they were charging. That was like,
well,
precarious.
that was something the British perfected in World War One, as the rolling barrage, where you advance behind your artillery.
Yes.
And, you know, it was an effective way of dealing with the fact that every time they sent men over the top, they were mowed down by the tens of thousands. The rolling barrage was a way of solving that. But I think the big problem with that is they had a lot of artillery pieces, and they had them on the front line, which was insane. They only fired a couple of times, and then it was job done. Then their front rank of infantry fights a little bit and wants to retreat, right? And retreat into
That bit really annoyed me. These little tiny corridors that they had to squeeze through.
Well, yes. Why did the Army of the Living put all of their soldiers in front of their defensive ditch? The whole point of that ditch should have been to break up the enemy advance and get them out of formation. Not that the dead were using formation. My second criticism of the Army of the Dead.
Yeah, they all just ran forward.
Yeah. So why were they in front of their fort? Because what that meant was they were funneled in their retreat, and the Unsullied then had to fight a rearguard action and died needlessly fighting a rearguard action.
Down a lot.
That's the next point. Then
Man the walls!
you got the Army of the Dead sat behind this fire trench that they can't cross for a while, and there's a long period of time there in which the living were not firing arrows.
Or bothering to man the walls. Or
Why were there not more spears? That giant should not have got into the courtyard.
I swear there were like maybe 3 or 4 people doing 3 or 4 archers on the walls.
That was it. That was it. Tens of thousands of people there.
The weird thing was when they were shouting the whole light the trench, and they were shooting these little flimsy arrows into the wood. It's like, that's not gonna light it though, is it?
Well,
why are you
it's
wasting them?
desperation. I get it from the storytelling perspective,
Yeah,
but yeah.
why waste it when you know that the
Yeah.
Red Woman's going to swan over and
Well,
be
they
like,
didn't-
la 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 la. Oh, maybe not. But whatever it was she said. Lots of
Some magical chant, I think.
yes, it was indeed a magical chant. Believe me.
And why did she kill herself at the end? That was pointless. Like, oh, no,
Because the prophecy foretold it.
she should have died in a more meaningful way. Or less meaningful, or something that meant something.
Yeah,
rather than
but
just,
the-
I'm going to take my necklace off now and die.
Well, she was extremely old.
I know, but why didn't she just leave a necklace on?
Because then it wouldn't kill her.
But why did she need to die?
Because the Lord of Light foretold it. Remember, she's a fanatic.
Eh,
She goes with what the Lord of Light says, and if he said, "Oh, that your purpose is to help them with this," and
The
then
last
that's
2
it.
years-
That's your purpose.
the last 2 years we've been saying to each other, what are they going to do with the dead in the crypt?
Mm-hmm.
Bit of an oversight, guys.
I was a bit disappointed that a dead Sean Bean didn't come out, or even Caitlin Stark and all that.
I just say though, Liana Mormont. Hell yeah!
Oh, one of the best bits.
I was. It was a little bit Deus Ex Machina, wasn't it? The ending.
Well,
the Lion King goes down. Like we don't see Arya working her way to the Night King.
no. Although someone mentioned that was to do with her, like being nobody. So maybe she was using something with the many-faced god to make her not unseen, but just nobody paying attention to her type thing.
We haven't seen that before. There was no setup.
No,
Rule of three in
that's-
filmmaking:
no,
set
that's
up,
true.
reminder, payoff.
But I like that idea as a concept. They used it in Northern Lights trilogy. In the witch has this power not to become invisible, but for people to avert attention away.
Straight
So-
up Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, so they just don't look at her.
Now we've not had any chat yet. Now that is unusual, and I'm just wondering if we are actually live, because usually somebody has said something in the chat by now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just check the stream.
Yeah, excellent connection.
Oh,
We're all good.
Somebody's watching. Hello.
Hello.
Say hi in the chat. Just let us know that it's working. Because, like, seriously.
We got this big purple bit of screen with nothing on it, and it's sad.
Yeah. 'Cause that's how we have a pink background to our chat thing, and that's because pink is a very rare colour in logos. But when it is used, it's almost always absolute maximum pink. So that pink is just off maximum, and then that colour is filtered out. See, there's a reason for that weird pink.
Yes.
Because when people do pink, they usually go full on pink. So, yeah. So I have some criticisms of the strategies of both sides, but
Yeah.
it was an amazing episode.
It was. Everyone was like saying, "Oh, it's really, really dark and stuff." Compared to the episode before, I didn't think it was as bad.
Well, in terms of the lighting.
Yeah.
The lighting director was on this mission to tell
Make
a
it really
story
arty,
with the lighting.
yeah, and sort of the yellow in the background.
And you
the
know what though?
smoke.
What's really annoying is like you look at the production when they're filming it, it's actually a lot more visible. But then they add all the dust and smoke
exactly,
and
yeah.
stuff in post production, and you're just like, oh God, stop doing that stuff.
And a cat is revealed.
Yes, sorry, I was getting a bit hot because of the coffee. Good news, hopefully, that is not banging on the stream. Well, other than a normal sound, because
Stop annoying the viewers.
well, I'm just saying we got a different mic. So can you hear us okay? Is it good? We're using a different setup here. This is the mic that we've taken from our field camera.
Yep.
Um,
We have
That's
lots of
a-
equipment now.
yes.
Hello, James
We've been
Breeden.
spending money. Oh, hi James. How you doing?
I like your avatar. I'm trying to work out what you're wearing in it though.
I think it's camo. I'm going to go have a closer look.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like fantasy armor or something, but
No, that looks like a paratrooper.
oh, cute.
Thank you for your service. Right. So yeah. What was the next topic? Was we were
Yes, well, it depends if you want to talk about the undead. Carry on with that with sort of role-playing elements and how to apply it, or
Hi, Joshua.
we could talk a little bit about the wedding.
Yes. So I think most of our regular viewers know by now we're getting married.
Mm-hmm.
We do mention it every couple of weeks.
We're not subtle at all. But we finally got around to actually planning a bit, and we basically did what all people should do at a wedding, which is to run a science fiction mega game the day before.
Yes. Because, the way I see it, it's people coming for a long way away, Got to entertain them for the entire, make it a weekend worth coming for. So yes, I thought we'd run a mega game. Now, the wedding has a steampunk theme, so I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a War of the Worlds mega game? Now, not everyone knows what a mega game is still.
That is very true.
I think we should explain that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some mega games that happen in the UK, some in the US. I don't know about Australia, maybe, but
There's a
basically, a mega game is kind of like LARPing, but without the foam swords, without the muddy fields, and way more heavily based on like diplomacy and problem solving and strategy.
No. A mega game is like a board game mixed with RPG. And this is where you go, no. A mega game is...
Yes, but I couldn't think of anything. It's a lot of different things, and when you play a mega game for the first time, you never know what's going on, and it's completely mind-boggling. But it's amazing. It's such an amazing concept to play in one.
They're unlike anything else, aren't they? And every mega game is completely different. The most we are at the genesis, really, of mega gaming now.
Yeah.
In the same way as if this was 1970, D&D would be in its genesis. Mega gaming is in its genesis right now. The first ones were created by a guy called Jim Wallman, who used to do the scenarios that were used in government stuff for training and fictional scenario type things where they get loads of government departments working together to solve some kind of crisis. They used to do them a lot in the Cold War with nuclear scenarios and things like that. So he was the guy who did all of them, and he thought, what, these things, these training exercises would make a great game. So he packaged up the first one that he created was called Watch the Skies, and it was this scenario where aliens contacted Earth. And we've done Watch the Skies twice now, haven't we?
Well, we've done Watch the Skies and the sequel to Watch the Skies, Watch the Skies 2 Second Sight.
Okay, I didn't realise they was that the second? No, it was the First Contact scenario when we played as UK.
I'm getting confused now because that was the second one, I'm sure of it.
Well, I mean, it was a Watch the Skies game. It's not necessarily a Watch the Skies 2.
I really can't remember.
Anyway.
But yeah, actually no, you're right. There are like a couple of different versions of Watch the Skies. Like the aliens are a bit different, and
it's the most established mega game out there.
Yes.
So there are now variants of it. In the same way, the early days of D&D, there were variants. Red box, white box, AD&D, D&D, and so forth. The way the game works is there is a team of aliens that are kept in isolation from all the other players, and they don't particularly meet or mingle. And then the players are in teams divided into countries. So you've got a UK team, a German. Actually, don't do German.
It depends.
Russian,
really, but
American, China, France, and
India,
Japan,
maybe.
Yeah, India's sometimes in there.
Like a mix of developed countries, sort of developing.
And within those teams, everyone's got a role. So you can have a prime minister, a minister of
like a minister of defence,
minister of defence, minister of intelligence. Sometimes a press minister, because there might also be a press team.
Well, there's normally like a diplomacy type person who does all the like United Nations things. Or like a
foreign minister.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was looking for, foreign minister.
There'll also be teams of corporations, and into this sort of mix of teams with conflicting interests, an alien contact event occurs. So the aliens come down on Earth, and usually they've got some kind of... They have an objective, that is, and they can't communicate, but whatever it is they're trying to do, they can't. It basically creates a natural conflict. We played the aliens the first time we did Watch the Skies.
Yeah.
If you're going to do Watch the Skies, I would recommend playing as one of the nation teams for your first go, and you understand the game a lot better. But we played aliens on our first go, and our mission was to try and help Earth.
Yeah, we were like super intelligent beings, part of this thing called the Menton Collective, and our objective was to sort of select the best people on Earth to kind of get them to join the Menton Collective, kind of transcend them to the sort of higher realms of intelligence and all that, and it would be for the good of the universe to do that. But of course, that's not what Earth thought we were doing.
Yes, we didn't count on the UK player playing it like Theresa May.
She did play very close to Theresa May. But more than that, even if there wasn't even that little thing going on, because it's often quite fun if you say you've got like the US to almost like play a Donald Trump or something like that, or kind of create it like that. The fact is that you as aliens have got objectives, and then when Earth perceive you, they don't know, firstly, what your objectives are, but also things can get lost in translation, deliberately so. So the control, like people like walking around, controlling everything, refereeing everything, they might kind of manipulate things a bit, change words, the same with when the press announce things in the newspaper, they might completely take something out of context and, you know, I don't know, say if a prime minister says, oh, well, you know, Russia needs to be a bit careful about what they say, they might go and say, Russia has been told that they are really shit, or, you know, something like that. So it deliberately causes conflict and chaos. And
they're amazing experiences.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've decided to run on. We will return to talking about Undead, by the way, and using the mini games.
Yes.
But no, so we decided we'll do a War of the Worlds mega game, and I've kind of based it a bit on Watch the Skies. And I moved the timeline away from steampunk because I felt it would be more interesting to run that scenario in post World War II. Because I want the players to think they can fight back, and you know, maybe they can have some success at some level.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
But also, I kind of like the idea of it being this sort of bankrupt Britain. It's Britain that gets invaded because it's War of the Worlds, therefore Britain is the world. It's a bit like American TV shows.
Yeah.
So, like, you've got this kind of, you know, proud empire country at that point in time that is absolutely bankrupt. The army's been demobilised, the will of the people to fight isn't there, and then in come aliens. Just defeated Hitler. Oh no, not again. So I thought that would make for a slightly better setting. I don't want to talk too much about details,
especially as there's at least one person I know who's going to be in this game, who's going to be watching.
Yes. So yeah. Well, I'm hoping a few of our viewers actually. But so. But I'll say a few things. I won't talk too much about.
I was going to say, did you want to
Martians.
maybe outline the mechanics or something, or talk about?
Well, it's still in development, but and I haven't written the Martian stuff at all yet. I've just got to that. But there are some quite interesting mechanics. But when you're building a mega game, the point isn't to actually make any particular part of the game too complex.
Yeah, because the players will definitely cause the complexities.
Yeah, but what you need to do is you need to make sure that every person who does something interacts with the games around them, so that their mechanical impact, whatever they're doing, is interrelated with every other mechanic.
Yeah.
So players have a very narrow view of what's going on, and if they perform their role, then the machine works, and when they fail, the machine crumbles. And
very dramatically.
And that's kind of what you want. You want that kind of that chaos to come in from them, not getting it wrong because they don't know the rules. That would be bad. You want them getting it wrong because of conflict within the game. So that's where you keep each part quite simple, but you have to try and make every role interrelate.
Yeah, one thing we haven't really mentioned either, especially if you're not familiar with megagames, as Becky said, yes, there are rules, and there are rules about your role as well, so, like, what you might have some special powers or whatever, but the game is extremely open to what you as a player can do, and more often than not it's a case of you go and ask the control if it's okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to kidnap an alien, can I do that? 2 minutes, and then they go off and
It's a
come back,
GM'd
sort of thing.
experience. Hi Fugue, welcome back.
Hello, Fuke.
So it's a GM'd experience, but you're dealing more with the players than you are the GMs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which is, I think, what's quite unique about it. You know, you sit down for a role-playing game, every player talks to the GM, but when you're playing a mega game, the players talk to each other and occasionally need to find a GM to say, I want to do this secret action and so on.
Yeah. And also with things like the corporations, there might even be something like a mafia going on. You know, you can negotiate with them to, I don't know, buy stuff, or they might try and get you to invent something if they're negotiating with the science team, for example. So they're like another sort of potential catalyst to something bubbling.
Now, if that sounds interesting to you, we did film some mega games, but it's back in the days before we got decent sound.
Yeah.
I think the one to look for, we did this one, the video title is The World's Biggest Board Game, something along those lines, at least the thumbnail is. Used to be, but I changed all the thumbnails, didn't I? No idea what's on the thumbnail. It's on the channel somewhere. This was a mega game that was hosted in 5 countries at once.
Oh, that was a zombie game, wasn't it?
It was a zombie game.
Yeah, that was good fun. I like that one.
And so literally, the game was played across 5 countries. There were 500 plus players, 550 or so. And yeah, it was set in a zombie apocalypse. So there was one of the, I think it was, I'm trying to think.
Well, there were different states.
There were 11 venues. That's right. Although 2 of the venues were adjacent, and one of them had the federal government of America.
Yeah.
And then there were 10 buildings across 5 countries where there were players, and each of those buildings contained one American state.
Yeah, it was all like fictional states,
Yeah.
but
And each state had like 5 cities, and each team was one of those cities, and then zombies came. We fought valiantly.
That was hard.
But go check out that video.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
There are some cool highlights, and I will say once again that my hospital was one of the most efficient hospitals in America.
Because your ambulance service was terrible. The dead were dying in the streets.
Yes, but the ones that survived.
Anyone who
got
made it to the
healed.
hospital lived.
Yes, anyone who made it to the hospital lived.
But when you starve the hospital of patients and have all the staff in on double duty.
Yeah, well, I worked with what I could.
Alright.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Scott. Fab DMs. We're fabulous.
Fabulous. Because we're fabulous. Hello.
Oh yeah. Hiya, Phil.
Hi, Phil. You're on time.
And coming to War of the Worlds.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Yeah, I'll
So yeah, it's going to be good fun.
I've got political play. I've got basically what I've done is I've got the government. I've got one player representing each political party, and it's a coalition government.
Yep.
So,
And it's a minority government.
No.
You told me it was a minority government.
No. They've got the Attlee Ministry. It's got 320 MPs. The Conservatives have 300 under Winston Churchill.
Yeah, but you told me that there was a minority in the Labour Party.
Well,
Or have you tweaked that?
no. They have slightly more MPs than Conservatives,
Mm-hmm.
but there are 2 other parties represented, with 60 MP between them, which is like 3 times the gap between Labour and Conservative. And there's a trade union player, and some of the MPs in the 2 Labour parties, you've got Labour and Irish Labour, Some of those MPs are actually loyal to the Unionists,
Right.
or to the unions. So the union player can flip them if they don't get what they want. So I thought that might be quite an interesting political mix to have a player that's not actually political but could control MPs in somebody else's party.
Yeah.
I think there will be elections mid-game. I think I've designed it such that the government will collapse.
Yes. Well, I mean, if governments don't collapse in mega games, I always think that you've designed it wrong.
Well, you never actually. Well, occasionally a prime minister or a head of state will get replaced by the deputy, don't they? In mega
Well,
games?
yeah, wasn't there a vote of no confidence with you, or not you, but you replacing the person who had a vote of no confidence or something? There was something
Which
like
game?
that.
Which game?
Possibly the one that we told people to watch.
In that one, yeah, I started off as the chief of emergency services. The deputy mayor disappeared, so I kind of wore that badge as well. Then our mayor went into hiding.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, of course.
And decided to become an Alex Jones style commentator.
God, yeah.
And so I was kind of filling in the role of mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Became chief of emergency services.
pretty much. And then at the end I ran for state governor, but Gary bought the vote. Can't argue with money.
Mm-hmm. But yes.
There was also in the second Watch the Skies game, when I was Prime Minister of the UK, my civil service tried to revolt.
Oh yeah.
And I had to put down that revolt. It was kind of daft. So I started off, I wanted to embrace Keynesian economics, which actually, interestingly, the Attlee Ministry was the people who adopted it. Right? And it did actually work. We had 100% employment and nationalised everything, and we were economically strong right up until Thatcher. But where was I going before I distracted myself with actual politics?
Let's not talk about actual politics. Mega game politics only.
Yes. I don't want to mention the fact that today, democracy just died in my local district. We didn't get to vote. The people in power decided to stay in power. Yeah, it's not dystopia at all. Anyway, moving on. So, thank you. Yes, no, what happened was, so for the first 3 turns of the game, I wanted to invest everything in the economy to get the credit rating up so that we had more money for the middle and later part of the game. And I figured you may as well do it early, get that money up, and then you got it for the whole game, will always be 2 steps higher on the credit rating and so on. They decided they weren't getting enough resources, and that they wanted to oust me as Prime Minister. They did this at the same moment that, because we'd established communication with the aliens, and I'd just spoken to them for the second time, and I had concluded that the aliens would never give us a good deal, that they were just playing us, and I had just declared war on the aliens. So I sat down in the meeting with the civil service, and the civil service saying, "You're not doing enough to fight the aliens." I said, "I just declared war on them." And they went, "Okay."
Yeah, alright, fair dues. Yeah. There is that element actually, because the turns are timed, so they can be sort of 15 minutes to half an hour depending. But if you're like going off to sort things out or negotiate things, that can take time. So there is a bit of a, maybe sometimes a delayed reaction.
There can be, yeah.
In that, yeah, if you're like busy talking to somebody, and then another turn happens and some outcome goes on, but then your thing gets applied, and also word doesn't always travel like instantly. Even amongst your actual nation.
Oh god, yeah. Team communication is always a problem. But we haven't spoken at all. There is a tactical part of mega games as well.
Yes,
there's usually a board game element as well. So some of the players will be doing a more board game type role.
So, for example, when we did the zombie game, that was really what I was doing for a lot of it. So my job was to control all the fire brigade and the ambulances, and I was mostly sort of standing around this board, and you would kind of hear of what was going on, so like, oh, the zombies are doing this, for example, and then you would choose what to do with your resources, very limited resources by the end, and that kind of pans out accordingly. You roll a few dice, things get replaced, things... Oh yeah, oh god, in particular, the zombies, they sort of started off quite weak, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever, yeah. And they just got stronger and stronger. They kept replacing them with like level 2, level 3, level 4. I'm like, ah! So we did some quite epic things like the police wall of cars and the Great Firewall.
Yes, the Great Firewall of Richmond. Those, if I remember rightly, and the video will say this either way, but I believe they were both strategies I suggested and were enacted, and both kind of worked, except for the wall, the defence wall we put up to save half the city, failed because the zombies had a car to just appear anywhere.
But obviously we didn't know that. Yeah. But yeah, so once you kind of do the bit on the board, the control of the board then feeds that information to the other controls, or I'm not exactly sure how it works, but they sort of apply that to the story.
Yeah. Everything's interrelated and interconnected,
Yeah.
so the politics impacts the board and vice versa.
Yeah. And maybe even more simply so with aliens, for example, you've got the alien ships, you've got obviously forces on Earth, and each team chooses what to do. Normally, like people can like crowd around a board as long as you're in a specific role, but for us, what we're going to do is actually do that independently, I believe.
Yes, so because when I was the fleet commander for the aliens in our first Watch the Skies, so I was placing the alien ships down on the board, and the way it was done is the turns happen for everyone at exactly the same time, whether you're alien or human, and you go through the same process. So we'd all turn up in the room, I would place my ships, and, excuse me, coffee, then the human players would sort of react to where I just placed them. It strikes me as an inefficient use of time. I want to get the turns moving a bit quicker, and because there's going to be 15 of us in this house, it's going to be packed.
Well, we haven't even sent invites yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well, I'm still designing that. I've got the models on all
but
that.
Yeah, it's going to be 15 of us.
So I thought, why? And I've thought this for a long time. Whenever I've been thinking about mega game design, why not alternate it? So I'm going to have the alien players in there, they resolve their turn, and then the human players in there, and they resolve their turn, and that allows you hidden movement. Right? Because there are only a few alien models on the board, so they can have their models up, work out where they're going, and then we can remove them. Note the position and remove them, because the aliens kind of have big, powerful things as opposed to lots of things. And of course the aliens they have sensors in space, so it's thematically works. Britain in 1940 doesn't have satellite networks, so hidden movement. And so that'll be interesting the way that's going to play out, I think. So it's going to have Parliament. It's going to have so there's a king that does a king's speech. And it's not actually a speech, it's they select the motions for the Parliament to debate, and there's loads of politics in that, and the political players will be trying to win votes in certain areas by voting certain ways, and it's going to be chaos.
And if there's political unrest in certain areas, then that can also cause problems.
I've made it global, so if the panic level gets too high, the whole country riots, and the impact is global.
Yeah, I like the panic meter. It's not a thing used in every mega game.
It's actually no, I've seen it in both Watch the Skies and the zombie one. I haven't seen it in any others. But
no, that's what I mean. So it's not in every one, but it's a nice element because it causes tension. As soon as the panic meter rises, everyone goes, no, why is that going on? And it's going to inevitably rise, but at the same time you don't want it to really badly. Yeah.
So I am really so I've been writing it feverishly for the last few days. I've ordered all the models now. We've got Navy, Air Force, Army and Martians. I've spent a bit of money, by the way, babe.
Okay. Well, at least the models are very small.
They are. The human ones are. What? There's not many Martian ones. They are a bit bigger. Well, I want you to be able to shoot a Martian tripod in Cornwall from Devon, like they're that big.
Right.
Or
Okay.
vice versa. But yes, it's definitely going to be fun, Phil. So that's what I'm designing at the moment. So we will, after that game has happened, after the wedding, I will publish it on the channel and stuff. And I don't know if we'll be able to do a video though, because some of the players may not want to be filmed.
Well, yeah.
So we might kind of do an
something
after-battle report rather than a video of events.
I think so.
But I mean, we'll ask the players if everyone's okay with it. We might live stream it, but might be tricky, might be noisy.
Yeah, just dying.
Dying, we haven't married you yet. Anyway, that's megagaming. But let's no water. Let's try and save Jason's life, and then we'll talk about Undead again.
Okay.
So, because the thing I think about Undead is so often, because like, you know, skeletons, they're kind of like the monster you encounter at level 2. You know, the classic kind of low level stuff.
Yeah.
And they almost become yard trash because of that. And if you think about it, if you encounter an actual skeleton in real life, how terrifying would that be?
Extremely so. Extremely freaking so. And even in like other fantasy settings, excuse me, like for example in Fighting Fantasy, Trial of Champions, one of the iconic enemies is this skeleton on this horse, and he's supposed to look terrifying. And he's also extremely hard to beat. You can't kill him at all with a sword or any other blade. You have to have a specific blunt, like hammer type weapon to even do any damage at all. And if you haven't got that weapon, it's like, oh, you know, you die. It's very different compared to this whole, whatever skeletons, they move really slowly, and you know, you just sort of hack them away.
It's like, I remember zombie films in the 80s, like when they first started coming out, zombies were 10 times the strength of a human. And now you look at zombie films, it's just like a turkey shoot of killing zombies. And it's like the fear's gone. And I just don't think undead work as well when they're low level. Like, I think the skeletons, like in D&D context, should at least be level 6, maybe higher. Like, they should be truly terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, especially if the person who died was strong to begin with. Like, if you want to talk levels, so say that person, you know, went all the way up to metaphorically 7th level, when they come back as undead, they're not suddenly going to be like level 1 again.
What about this though? What about if you're using undead in the game, in an RPG game? Why is it always somebody nameless? Why isn't it somebody the characters know?
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Are you talking the big battle?
Just from a point of view of GM planning your game, if you're thinking about putting undead in, like, why not have undead that, you know, like the first undead they encounter is somebody they recognise from their life or have encountered perhaps in the adventure. So let's say you've got an undead power rising in your world so far. What if the first undead that the adventurers come across is an NPC they previously met, or a relation to one of the characters?
Sands of Time did that.
Somebody's done it.
No, Sands of Time. Well, Prince Persia Sands of Time, that the enemies were technically undead, but it's because they were manipulated by the Sands of Time, so they kind of... but they were strong. They were very strong, and there was this absolutely huge one which happened to be the main character's father. So he had to kill his own father.
But if you imagine it like let's go back to Game of Thrones for a moment, and the Night King comes down from the north. I mean, it worked in the sense that it was kind of this unseen, unknown presence that built, and you know, that kind of thing does build tension. And they used exactly the same technique in the last episode, that whole first third of the episode, you never saw the undead. You know, the Unsullied charge in and they die, and all we see are the horses running away, and it was amazing cinematography that did build suspense. So I'm not saying it's wrong to just sort of throw an unknown, unnamed undead in, but again, if you really want to up the fear factor, don't show the monster. You know, show the effects, the ambient effects of its presence, make the air cold, you know, hear the sounds, that kind of thing. But the thing I would like to experiment with is the first time this undead power is rising in the world, and at the time it happens, you're visiting, I don't know, your mother's grave or some shit. You know, most adventurers have dead parents. We all, you know, it's a trope. So, but you know, maybe she rises up.
Yeah, that would be a really cool idea though, because the whole cold thing has also been done before, like with the Demendis, for example. Everything starts freezing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trope.
Yeah, the sound thing is quite cool in that perhaps you start hearing things from the other side when they get near, and there's that sort of
hearing things from the realm of the
dead.
Yeah. Oh, I never even thought of it like
really
that.
Cool.
I was thinking, you know, just the clicks of a skeleton, but no, that's really sinister.
The fact that as they move, they're actually.
I love your twisted mind.
The fact they're actually manipulating the ether as they move. I quite like that.
Yeah.
How about though the dead in the Dead Marshes in Lord of the Rings?
Oh no, they are truly terrifying.
They are scary as hell. They are very strong, very formidable, and they can pull you in and kill you.
Yeah, just kind of this, and that's an environmental detail as well. They're not even really a baddie. That's just dead in the environment. I really liked that. I thought it was really nicely done.
I liked as well what they did in the movie, in that, you know, when Frodo's sort of standing at the edge of the water and he can see the dead elf and the eyes open. That's scary enough, but then when he falls in,
he's actually seeing it in the ghost realm.
Yeah, he's seeing it in the ghost realm, and it becomes even scarier, and it's all like playing around.
It's even more haunting when you realise he's talking about the trench warfare of the First World War, and it's all actually a metaphor for the dead will pull you in if you go up and, you know, look at them. Because you will join them, and it's like, holy fuck, that's a dark metaphor. So I think actually we've answered this question, which viewers asked, how would you make undead terrifying then? And I think that's it. I'd get rid of the low levels. I'd get them unseen to begin with, and then when they are seen, I think I'd make it somebody the players knew.
Another idea, which, I mean, there's a lot of music that's influenced kind of my horror stuff, but why does the undead have to be necessarily, you know, evil? You can have somebody who's dead and is still animated in some way. Maybe they're like trapped in a never-ending loop or something.
That's what I'm saying about the Night King, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're not inherently evil. They are just either driven to madness, or they're going to be hostile because then, you know, they can't cope with seeing themselves dead or something. You know, greying the line, not all this kind of like, oh yes, it's undead, it's just evil and doesn't make any coherent noises and stuff. And that in itself, actually seeing something more, I don't know, with more ties to the earth.
Well,
as you said, they kind of become disassociated with being.
It's like I was saying about the Night King earlier. Like, you know, what if his story was actually on a redemption arc? You know, there was this part of the world of Westeros where you've got that island that the children of the forest used to be on. Why was that not the destination of the Night King, and why is that not where he fell at the end of his arc? We didn't really get an arc for him. He was just, he represents death and is evil.
Which is why, actually, I wasn't really expecting, you know, the undead to be gone by this point. I honestly thought that it would be Cersei and her lot first, you know, any kind of battle with that, and then.
We discussed it beforehand. Like, you know, if you're the Night King, I'd have flown the dragon over King's Landing, and then I'd just left my army besieging Winterfell.
They didn't do that either.
No. But oh well.
Oh well.
Was you coughing?
Yeah, well, you're offering me water, but I drunk this the wrong way, so it's like that's so pointless. Because you're offering me more liquid.
Yes, trying to drown you. I claim that life insurance. Undead are scary when they come out of nowhere or are confined spaces or cause disease. Now, confined spaces, that is absolutely horror in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You know, you got the whole haunted house thing, or the shack in a forest, and what makes it intense is that you're trapped inside. If you have too much freedom to explore, then all horror leaves the room.
Yeah, it's boring.
You've got to encircle the environment in some way.
Like,
for real horror.
claustrophobia is one of the big tropes of horror, whether, as you said, you're trapped in a room or there's something pulling you into somewhere dark and very close quarters.
Yeah, it's when you can't get out and you lose that agency to leave of your own volition. That, horror needs that. Causing disease is another interesting one because it's a very roleplay specific kind of thing. Like if you're reading a book, something that caused disease wouldn't necessarily be scary. But
no,
as a role-playing gamer, you don't want things that screw up your character. So anything that can cause any kind of debuff on your character is inherently scary. The level drain of wraiths and wights in older editions was truly horrible. I've been struck by that a few times, and I'm level 4, everyone else is level 6, where I'm at level 4, I fought a white, I did the hero thing, and I got a debuff instead of a reward. And they are terrifying fighting wights in older edition.
But also I like it when diseases are very realistic, so it doesn't just sort of slowly drain your health, it causes you to become delirious or foam at the mouth or
boils and
but especially the psychological thing of this thing is going to cause all these effects to you, and mentally you start reacting as well as physically.
Well, the problem there, if you use that as a thing on the player, is you're then asking the player to roleplay their disadvantages, and there's a lot of players who can't or won't do that.
Yeah, I know.
So
it's not for everyone.
I think the way I would like to do disease, if I'm going to have that, is I would start with the symptoms, and because then they know something's wrong. And if they know something's wrong and they don't know what it is and they don't know how to fix it, they go, my character has something. So absolutely, ramp those symptoms up slowly, and build them up, and it's like, so there's these spots on your finger have grown, now you'll start to lose mobility in a couple of fingers, and you're like, shit, I need to deal with this. I've lost something. Because players don't like going backwards, and disease kind of feels like going backwards, but they don't like it in a way that it's not necessarily them hating the game. It's that it's that intensity they get from it. Like, if I've always said, if you want the players to go somewhere, have a thief steal something and send the thief to that place, because the players will chase them. And I think disease is kind of the same.
Yeah, but I definitely do disease differently depending on the system. So D&D is very different from, say, Call of Cthulhu or Shadows of Estrin.
Well, it doesn't have to be though. I mean, I think, Call of Cthulhu, obviously you're more inclined to go with the mental stuff. Yeah. But I think physical symptoms is a great way of bringing in fear, because once the problem is you only know about it once you've got the disease. So I would want to introduce the disease to the players before they meet the undead. So having them see the symptoms on others and knowing that this undead caused it before meeting the undead, so it's nicely foreshadowed. Yeah.
Or it could simply be a punishment for going too far into some
realm of the dead.
Yeah, realm of the dead or something. They can easily get bitten.
Or you recognise it's someone you know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Here you're choking on liquid. Have more liquid.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's like, oh, you're choking on liquid. Have a drink. No.
I couldn't do the Heimlich maneuver on air. It's like when like you taste something disgusting and your instinctive reaction is to go, "Ugh, that's gross. Try that."
No,
No,
I don't do that.
got the wrong audience for that one.
Yeah.
The joke. So what else can we do with Undead, or is worth considering with Undead?
Well, there's obviously the bog standards obviously said like skeletons and zombies, but Undead could be so much more than that.
Actually, just before we move on, just want to say, too many human skeletons, not enough dwarf and elf and everything else. But carry on.
Oh, yeah, of course. But what I mean is, you've got these sort of two very distinct forms of human dead. But it's like, what about animals and relating to were creatures, perhaps? What about using plants, like undead plants?
Oh,
Trees?
I
Things
never
like
thought about undead trees.
Why not?
I just never thought about it.
Really? I thought you would. You love using plants and
I do.
stuff. Well,
It
then
never
make them
occurred to me.
undead. Make them undead then.
Well, how would that work?
Well, they're alive.
Oh my god, it's like I've
They're
just been
living
given a new
things.
toy.
They're living things, just like mammals are. It's just like
I've got a new toy to play with.
oh
Can we organise a game for next weekend?
yes, if people turn up.
I've got to make some models, by the way.
But yeah.
Oh, we've lost our chat.
We've-
Let me just sort that
Oh
out.
yes.
So bear with us a moment. It's going to put a graphic up on screen whilst I just sort the chat out. Yep, not my fault. Not my fault. This isn't my computer, and somebody.
I demand to know. What? Oh my god. I'm
Uh,
just kind of surprised that no one's thought of this.
No.
I mean, seriously, you could, for example, go with the whole sick forest malarkey, where, you know, you've got these sort of gnarly trees all black or whatever. There's going to be fungus or some other disgusting things growing on them, oozing out of them. You could have, I don't know if it's more comical than not, but what about trees that have been cut down or something? You could have them sort of rise back up in some way or manipulate the earth even. They don't even have to be like the tree anymore. They might just, I don't know, sink into the ground and manipulate things around it, or you can do all kinds of stuff with it. I mean, people talk about, oh yeah, when you die you kind of go back into the earth and stuff. Make that a literal thing.
Wow.
Maybe you could even have it as that, so that could be like the twist of the campaign, and that the people who die in a certain area are literally manipulating the earth. You're welcome.
Coming to a campaign you'll play in soon, babe.
Why has no one thought of it?
Well, I'm thinking less about trees actually, more about plants with this.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. So you could have like
The elf goes to have his breakfast, and his bowl is just death. You know, like the leaves are like spiders' webs of corruption and unlife. And he's already ingested some before realizing. And
Yeah.
That's where your disease comes from.
There's also, for example, say you sort of eat some food, like plant food.
Yeah, that's what's saying.
What if it manipulates when
What
it's
if you
in
then
the stomach?
start to become undeath yourself,
Yeah.
but you're still alive? You're kind of like a living undeath.
You're housing it.
You're undeath. A parasitic undead within you. Oh my word. Yeah. But what CR is the undead raspberry jam?
The undead raspberry jam.
I demand to know.
I don't know, whatever you want. Depends how much there is.
Alright, so you can ask your questions in chat, join in, become part of the conversation. Please do ask some questions actually, because we've not got an awful lot more content.
No,
You've been
where
quite
is
quiet
everybody
tonight.
today?
Well, we've had a bit of chat, but it's been quite quiet. We did come out on a Thursday this week, though. We don't normally do that.
Yeah, it's true.
It's normally a Wednesday or a
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah. Maybe we should wait until Friday.
Is that what we've done wrong? Did we
Maybe.
come out on the wrong day?
Maybe.
There's no Ronnie this week either. Where's Lord Morbius?
Guys,
I'm
Thursday.
sure there's a few others that we had Scott, didn't we? And we had.
What, we're doing a roll call now?
Yeah, a roll call. Oh my god, testing my knowledge of regulars.
Oh,
we should, by the way,
shit. Yes, we should.
mention these wonderful people that aren't coming up on camera terribly well. So let me go get them closer to camera, because without these people, this channel
Couldn't
would
happen,
be.
really.
Well, it just would be even more in depth. So these people here are backers on Patreon. So that's Umber, Brandon Fishwick, Dave Poirier, Jolly Mangina, Mark Threlfall, and Russell Higgins. Thank you so much for your continued support, guys.
Thank you very
It does
much.
mean a lot to us.
It does. It means we can get nice microphones and get more technology, and
And I could buy more minis.
you can buy more minis.
Are you taking the mick out of the way
Yes.
I say mini?
Yes.
Apparently I don't say minis right.
Well, I've got like quite a nasal accent, so
My minis in my painting room.
rum, rum.
Now, that isn't the only way you can help this channel.
No, it
Because
isn't.
if you like this channel, you can also have the most fun ever at ComPlus2. We
Yeah.
run a charity RPG convention,
Mhm.
and it all happens online, so you don't even have to leave.
Live.
Come
You don't
and-
even have to live. Be undead.
It's an undead stream.
Yeah.
You don't even have to leave the comfort of your living room. You can do it all online, and it's
Well,
a
you
great
have to. You
event.
haven't got a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't really expecting you to turn up, so.
Yeah. There's room for 15 apparently.
But no, it's going to be really, really exciting.
We've still been working on it. It's not been our busiest week ever because I've been writing a mega game. But we did
Priorities.
get a new prize, and I
Oh,
left
we
it
did.
downstairs.
Shall I go and get it?
Yes, go
Okay.
get it. So we've had a new prize delivered from a returning sponsor, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. We now have broken our record for the number of prize giveaways we're going to do during the convention. Last year we had 170 prizes. We have broken that this year, and you can win them all just by watching the charity telethon. Here's our new prize.
It's a fancy box. Well,
It's from
it is. But yeah, it's from Wormwood, who are returning as a sponsor, so thank you very much, Chris and company, for this. This is a Purple Heart box, not a dice box this time. It's very powerful, I might do my fingers on it. But it is for your mini, so your PC, your campaign mini, it can be in here all nice and safe. And
Wow,
that
it's a
was me doing
strong
it gently.
magnet.
Seriously, that was me doing it gently. Like, I couldn't avoid that.
Yeah, you're not going to lose your mini.
You're going to lose your finger.
Oh wow. You twist. You twist.
Oh yeah, you twist, but then putting it back on.
Yeah, I see your point. I see your point. Because I don't know what your difficulty was.
No, she can do it fine. Okay, fine.
Actually,
I'm obviously not destined to have that thing.
it was delivered to where I worked, and I actually gave it to one of my co-workers and said, it's a Chinese puzzle box. And he was there for a few minutes trying to figure it out. But it is a magnet-sealed box.
Yeah.
They're wonderful things. They really are nicely
Yeah.
done. And yeah, you know, if you don't play in your own house and you go somewhere, now you can protect your precious player character model on the way to your game. And that is just one of over 170 prizes we'll be giving away.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's going to be an amazing con. We have not finished recruiting our sponsors for this year's
No,
con.
absolutely not, because in about a month's time we're going to have the UK Games Expo, and that is a big opportunity for us to get more sponsors and I think last year that
And
was.
catch up with our old ones.
Well, yeah, of course. But I think last year, didn't we recruit about half?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit less than half
No,
from the
it's
expo.
about half of them, I think.
Yeah. And that makes them a bit weird, but you know, it's a huge expo. There are all like the big players come to the expo. So
it's the second biggest role-playing convention in the world now, behind Gen Con. Which
what? It's beaten thingy.
No, it's not a role-playing convention.
No, that's Spiel. Yeah, Spiel.
Yeah, Spiel is a board game convention.
Right, but UK Games Expo is also a board game convention.
Board game and role-playing
Well,
convention.
okay,
it's
yeah,
the second biggest
and
role-playing. We're a role-playing channel.
Okay, yeah, all right. But we do board games as well.
We do. Many games.
And many games, yes.
Yes. So it is in terms of our convention, it's where we do a lot of our work in bringing new sponsors on board. So the website is mostly up to date on sponsors. I need to bring Wormwood up to date as well. Why do you hate Theatre of the Mind?
We don't.
We love it.
When did that become a thing? Are you mixing us up with somebody else?
Yeah, I think so.
No, I mean Becky loves minis or minnows, and I love using them and pleading to paint them, but then get turned down. You know, I mean, go to Pair of Geeks 2, and you will see one of, in my opinion, the best Theatre of the Mind games I've run. Like, we don't use minis because we're online. We use Google Hangouts
I am
and stuff.
determined to. I will one day, if we can get a few more Patreons.
Yes.
And you know, go to Gen Con, and then a few more. I want to get a very small micro camera, because what I want to do is I want to play online with our audience. I want them all to, you know, Gen character stuff, and we'll play online with a first-person perspective view of the world. Because I could, you know, I'll get a mini setup up. I want a little camera that I can move, be first person.
Yeah.
I think that would be epic.
Yeah, it's been done before, but yeah, it's good.
What do you mean it's been done before?
Keith Hershey did some.
With minis?
Yes.
I've been planning that for a year.
Oh, sorry. Doesn't mean you can't. But actually, before we deviate, we should do something. We should, yes. In that, I know you're thinking, why are you getting your phone out, Jason?
It's a bit rude.
I know it is, but it's because I need to read something out. Because one of our sponsors, who is Angry Hamster Publishing, has got a Kickstarter at the moment, and I'm going to do a shout out.
Okay.
So they're doing Afterlife Wandering Souls. It has reached target, but there's only a very small amount of time if you still want to get involved with this project and get these amazing books. They will be given away in PDF form, you know, when we do Complus, but if you don't want to wait, if you want to get on the Kickstarter stuff and get this amazing artwork and stuff that comes with it, it's like, yeah, go ahead and do it.
When you say given away, I mean, we're only giving away a few copies, aren't we?
Yeah, we're giving away, I think, one of each copy. So we've got Afterlife, Wandering Souls. We've got, I believe there's another copy of Witch coming to us as well, Witch Fated Souls. But essentially, for those of you who don't know what it is, because it is quite an intriguing system, Afterlife Wandering Souls, people take on the role of wanderers, so people who have not managed to get to any sort of afterlife, so heaven or hell or anything. Devoid of any memories of their life before, wanderers must travel an endless desert, searching through different planes of existence, attempting to find some semblance of self. Along the way they encounter strange inhabitants, alien cultures, and other humans who've lost all hope and are bent on destroying them.
It's an undead game!
Yeah! Basically.
There's another approach, play the undead. Yeah, I mean,
go and check out the Kickstarter.
Truth is, just on with what Fuke's saying there, is I paint minis. I have a massive miniature and scenery collection. I actually prefer painting scenery to minis, but I do it. But mostly, I paint those things for the joy of painting them, and B, to use them in an occasional YouTube video, even though most of them have never been on film. I don't actually play with the minis that often. There is one group we do minis with, and it's always a thing, like whenever that group meets every couple of months, and I always try to do a new setup for when they come. I actually have the next one prepared and haven't arranged the game date, but yeah, I always like to sort of wow them with some new mini setup and stuff. But other than that, that's kind of the only mini game. The War of the Worlds game, though, will have new minis for that, because it is a wargaming part for the tactical players. But yes. Oh, thank you. We love you too, Puke.
In a pure platonic way.
I'm marrying you, darling. Don't get jealous. Now, I forgot to do a community service announcement.
Oh, yes.
Because remember last week I did a community service announcement that the Nerdarchy Facebook page had been hacked.
Yes.
And since then, we've all been enjoying the videos that the hacked people put on the Nerdarchy page, which featured things like...
You mean the hacker people? The hacked people implies that's nerd.
Well, no. The hacker people were posting videos of things like squeezing spots and pulling things out of people's ears and faces and stuff. It was quite gross.
Lovely.
Anyway, Nerdarchy have their page back again.
Hooray!
Which just begs one question.
What?
Where do I go now to get videos of zits being squished?
YouTube.
So they've got it back. I don't know if their following has been impacted. I didn't look at the numbers before it all happened. So and I haven't spoken to the guys but they appear to have got it back at 4 hours before we came on air, because there was a ton of posts from those 4 hours from Nerdarchy, just filling their feed up with new
Stuff.
RPG content and their backlog, I guess.
Oh right, I see. Yeah. Cute.
So yes, they are back in business. I'm trying to think if we've got anything else.
Not really.
Ask a question quick, so we're running out of content, guys. Now, when are we going to film in the new studio?
Ooh. That is a good question. I'm thinking.
Because we have something a bit special planned. And it's not basically... alright. Should we tell them?
Go on.
Yeah, go on. Right. So, day job Becky works in a television studio. Hands out, I can borrow it.
Yes, well.
So we are thinking about doing a few shows from an actual TV studio with a big video wall. So it'll take a little bit of planning, because we need to put content in for the video wall, and can't use this pink background thing we use for our chat now. We're not going to use it for the convention though, because the convention we broadcast the telethon for 24 hours. We are on air for. It's nice to have a kitchen and a bed.
Yes, and
not to have to drive home
rooms.
afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're not going to use it for that, but it would be cool to do a few shows from it, because video wall, it's cool. It looks nice, stuff on screen and things. I'm looking forward to doing it at some point. The only problem is it's not from the comfort of our own home.
No.
So we'll do a weekend show, I think, a Sunday show at some point.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Maybe when it's in the summer when it's nice.
Yeah. So we'll do that. That is coming to an Ask a DM show near your
Ask a
internet
double
browsing
DM.
history soon.
Ask a double
well,
DM.
yes, it is. It's supposed to
Double.
Yes.
Prepare for trouble and make it double.
I don't know where that's from.
Team Rocket.
Oh, a Pokemon thing.
Yes.
I said that wrong deliberately.
No, I know. I say Pokemon as well, but dearest Lee.
massively into Pokemon. It was after my time.
No, that's true. That's true.
I'm
That's
old.
That's more my generation. I know.
Yeah, I
And
know.
all the ones that follow.
I know we're getting married. We are of different generations. He is basically my retirement plan.
Out of context, that sounds kind of creepy.
Not that much older. A little bit, but not that much older. But, you know, I want to retire. You guys are so awesome.
I just jumped into the fruit bowl.
Sorry, I missed May membership. Oh, that's okay. Oh, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. Thank you. We'll add you to the list next time. We'll put you on early. Oh,
That was
that's
my
awesome.
improvised celebration for you
No, that
joining.
means-
What?
We're going to hear the chime downstairs soon.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, because we have a little this. We use it in the convention. This little LED strip thing that shows the fundraising total. You'll see it on the convention video for last year. But basically, the rest of the year, it monitors our Patreon and YouTube stats. And I used to look at it every morning with coffee.
Yeah.
And now I don't because I have breakfast in bed. It's a great retirement plan.
You make some of the breakfast as well.
I do. All right.
Nice, it's good.
I think we're out of control. We've got his money,
Yes.
so we should disappear. We're taking
No,
a
no,
run.
no. But on a high note, maybe we should leave it there.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure as always.
We'll be back next week.
and
on Friday.
I think Friday because
Friday.
I think coming out on the Thursday. I think we've obviously confused a lot of people because we've had a lot less people with us tonight than we normally do. Fewer, you're quite right, Stannis.
Fewer.
However, we have had some of my favourite people here. We've had all of my favourite viewers.
My favourite.
Sorry?
They're my favourite.
Mine. Do not get divorced over this, babe.
Yeah, well, you don't recognise Pokemon quotes, so I'll have to talk about that.
Alright, so we're going to go offline and have a serious marital discussion. Have fun, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next Friday.
Bye!
Bye.